I got a phone call from Stromae's manager. Can you come in? Your name got dropped a few times. I was like, oh, okay, nice. And the next day I got a call to cancel everything I had and to come in and work on this project.
Would you say this was your most important milestone within your career?
Definitely. And most technical and most responsible as well. I got to work and see the team every day, drink coffee with those great minds that make this kind of music. Was great. It was super surreal. I'm a small editor from Leuven, who's working with one of the biggest artists in, may I say, maybe Europe even. Together drinking coffee, talking about how my baby slept yesterday. The idea of being just me with a guy who's such a high level was amazing. And the creativity he gave me and carte blanche to do whatever I liked was surreal for me. So last year, I got a baby in February. He was 2 weeks old when I got a phone call from Stromae's manager, also known as his brother, Luc, to ask to come do a test edit because they filmed a lot of stuff on the tour, which got cancelled, unfortunately. And they didn't know what to do with it. So they had like something in mind. Yeah, we want to do like a video clip style, not certainly a live show. But it has to feel like a live show, but it also has to feel like a video clip. And you were the guy who we had to call to do a test, because your name got dropped a few times with the people we know. I was like, oh, okay, nice. Can you come in? But I'm not gonna lie, there are two other editors who are also coming. Also two other editors I know very well, which are also very good, by the way. Can you come in tomorrow? We have like a small test with the footage we shot. And I was like, oh, I have to talk to my wife, but I'm gonna say yes to this and we'll see where we land. And I went to the studio they rented with the material. We had to do one song, L'Enfer, one of his major songs on the album. And yeah, I'm known for my jump cuts and my rough style and flashes and quick pace editing, especially when the beat drops. I'm not afraid of going all out. And I went all out the same night because they sent me a few of the materials in MP4 already, and I had like a edit ready the next day to show them before they even started. So I had like 1 minute of material prepared,
yeah,
just to know the feeling, what they wanted. And they were like, interesting, maybe we'll see what the rest of the day goes. And I finished the whole song in 1 day with the same type of style I did the night before. And the next day I got a call to ask to cancel everything I had and to come in and work on this project. I didn't know the massive footage they had. I didn't know what was gonna happen.
Yeah.
So I went into the studio they rented, and they had like a big station, about 25 terabytes with material.
Wow.
Stocked on a big hard drive, plugged into a laptop in a room they rented in Brussels, next to their office. And they were like, yeah, can we do something with this? What are we gonna do with this? Is like 25 terabytes of making of material that we shot during the Multitude tour. And we're not sure what we're gonna do with it. So we started to edit 1 song, 2 songs, 3 songs, 4 songs. And we were like, oh, this is maybe interesting to do the whole concert with this kind of style that we created, because it was all like little fragments. It was not one big file of one big concert. It was like 27 venues, and maybe in San Francisco you had like 10 seconds of footage. In the IGA Arena in Belgium you had like 20-40 tracks. It was like a big soup. We had like a few venues where they did the test, because the original plan was to, after the tour, do one big concert movie shot in Belgium. So they did a few tests in the studio before the show. So we had a few cameras, like a spider cam, for example, from a whole show. So we had three, I think, maybe 4 basic cameras. And then we had like venues who put a phone in a wide shot, for example. So sometimes of one song we had like a wide shot. Sometimes not. Sometimes we had like all different kind of fragments. Usually we had one wide shot, but that was it. That was consistent. And for the rest, it was one big soup of Cyprien Delire, which is now also the co-director together with Luc, who was actually hired to do the social media stuff. So he filmed fragments to do promotion stuff.
Right.
So he got lots and lots of material backstage, in front of the camera, in the crowd, on top of the venue. All these weird camera angles that shouldn't be in a concert movie is now in that movie. But it was like there was no time code, everything was done by hand.
I just want to clarify for people who don't know. So what you mean by time code is that when you have images and sound, it's important. It's important to sync it together. And when you don't have time code, it's very difficult to sync it together because you're going to have to do it manually. And I also wanted to kind of blow it up, the way that you worked in, because there is this art concept, which I think is from Japan, which is called Kintsugi.
Okay.
Do you know what it is?
No.
So, for example, if I break my cup, which is not a cup but a can, but if I break my cup,
restore it again,
and you put it back together, and you it's kind of like a golden sort of glue or something that puts them together. And the idea is not to fix the broken cup. The idea is to make the cup into something new, is something beautiful from something that looks like chaos, or what we called earlier a soup. And so I think that's correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the core idea of what is happening in this project is exactly like Kintsugi.
I hope so. I hope people find it a beautiful thing what we did, especially the fans, because we did it all for almost no money. But it was a massive job to put all those clips together. There was a guy like really syncing the movie just based on the light that he saw in a few frames. It was so hard to do, and it took for 4 weeks, just one guy syncing all the clips. But he had like songs with over 90 video tracks, which you have to watch it all. You can't just put it all on one big screen and look like multicam. Oh, that's a nice one. Impossible. The system there's no system that can play it all together. Yeah. It was one big Frankenstein soup, and nobody knew how to technically edit it together. And I think I was one of because of my background, a good technical editor to do something with it.
And I think here comes the most important part of your whole story, which is that you told me that the importance of an editor is underestimated, in a sense that what he brings to the story in a movie, in a commercial, in any type of video work is super important. And we talked about directors, and we talked about their role a little bit, and they kind of guide you to know where you should go. And I don't even know what the role of the director was in the Multitude film, but it seems like when the shit hit the fan and somebody had to solve it, you were the guy to do it. And that is inspiring in a way, to me at least, because it really does show the importance of the editor. I can kind of give you a side story, which I love, is I used to do VJ, so VJing. Mm-hmm. It's like you do the visuals behind the DJ. And I did it at a really famous club in Belgium, The Fuse.
Okay.
And it was in the B room, and I was, higher in the room, and I had a wooden table, like cheap ass table. Brought my laptop, brought my gear, put it there, There was no fences around it or anything. Anyone could just knock my shit over, put their beers on my table. Like, it didn't matter. But I was like a key player in the happenings of that event. Like, because the screen I had was so big, like the lighting that it produced changed, you know, the way that the lighting guy was acting. But also, like, you know, if the track goes down and then goes back up, like you're kind of controlling the vibe of the whole room, but no one cares about you. You're not recognized. You're not on that affiche. You're, you know, like you're the unsung hero. And I don't want to say that I'm a hero for going to do visuals at Fuse. That's not what I'm trying to say. But what I do want to say is that in the whole creative industry, there are different creatives who have different roles. And some of them are being looked at more by media or just the general public, and some aren't. And I feel like we're touching on this subject, which I recognize very, very deeply, because I feel like, and just as a side note, I loved not being in the center of attention. I loved it. But do you see where I'm going with this?
I love being not in the center of attention, but being in the center of the attention. That's why I choose editing. I don't want to be in the front of the camera, or I don't want to be the DOP who gets on the red carpet and who is after the director and of course the producers a big part of the movie. The editor is always the guy who's hidden behind the scene, but he can manipulate so much. Nobody knows what you actually did, but it's one of the most important roles.
Yeah,
at least for me. But as well as the bond you get with the director and the editor, between those two, I get to choose the images of the DOP. I get to choose how long a beautiful shot is gonna be in the image. I get to choose which one is not beautiful enough to be in there, and it's so underrated but so important. That's exactly why I said in the beginning, if you do a good job, nobody's gonna pat you on the back, but if you do a horrible job, you're gonna feel it right away. But that's what I love, and that's why I chose to be an editor, not to be in the front lines, but to be one of the most or one of the key roles in finishing a movie or commercial or documentary or a music video. Especially with this project, the editing was so important and so technical that it had to be
flawless. Yeah.
As well as the high level of Stromae and his crew. They expect so much, and they work on such a high level. The views they got on all their work they do is so high. I had to perform and pass that bar on the first edit. I had to show them what I got, and we worked on it for 8 months.
8 months.
8 months, 150 hours, and we made it into 1 hour.
Yes, and on top of that, you're not watching those 150 hours only one time.
No, exactly. Because sometimes we had to look for a guy or a girl that is lip syncing, because it would be perfect when she would be sing with a specific sentence or a word, and you start just browsing through everything, hoping
and then you start over again every time. The research is starting over and over.
Of course.
If you get really technical, like in the programs, you have like search terms that you can kind of use to find certain clips if you organize them well. But
it wasn't organized, and the thing was, so we're almost finished, and people started to know that we're working on the movie, and other venues started to send their shit as well. And so it was like, I think June, maybe beginning of September. And then we redid a few songs, maybe 4 or 5 songs. And then we discovered some kind of editing style which we liked. And then we had to redo everything again.
Oh,
but
wow.
not redo the whole song, of course, but redo the tempo, redo what we see. Look for specific songs. This is a good editing style on this song. This is a slow editing style. And we really started to develop some kind of weird style throughout the movie. I think so.
But is it not part of the process?
Of course.
you know, you discover new things as you're making something,
course,
and often it's by making also mistakes
of course.
that you, or by in surprising things like people sending you footage in the last minute. Like there's always unknown factors, and you adapt and evolve.
Of course.
And every, at least I find out that every project kind of creates its own DNA simply by starting to work on it.
Yeah, of course. But the problem was as well, I had a company to run as well, and I had a baby that was
Yeah.
2 weeks old as well.
How did you manage?
Well, good. I managed, but
You don't know how, but
I
you did.
think I got a few older stripes in my face, definitely, and a few pounds as well.
Yeah.
But it was great. I had such a blast. I also, again, my wife as well, because I came
out.
home. Shout out with my wife. I came home totally drained. I mean,
So you couldn't give her anything, especially in the time that she needed you the most, or was
I
it
had
something
to-
like that?
no, I had to. The moments that we had together was in front of in the sofa, and I couldn't watch any movie anymore. I was so physically drained in my head because of the baby at night. Of course, you have to get up. That's the only thing I could do for her, because I wasn't really there in my head at the evening or when we went on a restaurants or out. I was always with my head in this movie. And the only thing I could do for her was be there at night for the baby so she could sleep. It was the only thing I could give her
Wow.
for those 8 months. So shout out to
Yeah.
her.
So I was just gonna say, like,
But she's a
Respect.
big fan
Respect.
of him as well, so I think that helped a little bit. She got a signed record of it as well.
Lovely.
But definitely a shout out to the wife.
Amazing.
Otherwise, it wouldn't have happened.
Would you say this was your most important milestone within your
Definitely.
career?
Definitely, and most technical and most responsible as well. It was really, but it was 2 directors and me, and that was it. There was no executive producer, no scenario, nobody written anything on paper. It was just, here's the footage, let's see. You got a total free card to see what we can do. It has to match the music, of course, and Stromae has to approve it, and his whole team has to approve it, of course. But still, they gave me so much freedom, and they opened their arms with so much love in their little small, how do you say it? They keep the privacy really small, or they really
Constrained.
Yeah.
In a small circle.
yeah, exactly, small circle. And they opened me, they really let me in that circle for 8 months, and it was great.
Yeah, you told me something pretty incredible as well, and I think then we can kind of start closing off, which is that they were so busy doing their stuff that you decided to move in your temporary studio in their studio.
Yeah, so they rented out a studio not far from their studio. So we started there, but it was so difficult to get feedback from them that we decided to just buy a server, put everything on there, and just go to their studio where they work. So they really let me work in the studio of the big Stromae, the Paul van Haver. Made room for me to work in his studio while he was working on his tiny laptop in the other part of the building, and he just gave me his whole studio to work on his movie, which was great. I got to work and see the team every day, drink coffee with those great minds that make this kind of music. Was great. It was super surreal for the first week to have like a coffee in the morning with those guys. It was like I'm a small editor from Leuven, who's working with one of the biggest artists in, may I say, maybe Europe even.
Yeah.
Together drinking coffee, talking about how my baby slept yesterday. It's the idea of being just me with a guy who's such a high level was amazing.
Yeah.
And the creativity he gave me and the free carte blanche to do whatever I liked was surreal for me, and still is.